So it's been very good comments. Let me start with Ralph or let off and pull that thread a little bit. So one of the big issues is modernizing, virtualizing, and moving it to the cloud. But let's step back a minute. So it's really, you got to rationalize your applications so we can get rid of this legacy. So governance is a problem.
Yeah, good one.
Now in the Army, we proposed for all the applications we got, and we're kind of following what HP and the Navy did with NMCI, so find all your applications, and we're saying you get 3 bins. You either agree to modernize, virtualize them, and move them, or you kill them, the bin I like, or everybody's got their favorite application that they, the world will end if they get rid of it,
Right.
but they don't want to modernize it.
Right.
And that's the hard ones, right?
Right.
And so we got to have strong enough governance to bin them. We got to have strong enough governance when you bin them to kill them. And you really got to address those legacy ones that people don't want to modernize, because those are the most expensive to sustain and the most insecure. So governance is always hard, right?
Yep.
Governance is a problem. But the other one is cost transparency. So when we started this DISA partnership, and Alfred and I mean, we have a long history here, it was very hard. DISA uses the Defense Working Capital Fund, and they have to break even. So they can lay out all their costs. It was an interesting discussion with the Army because there's no cost transparency in the Army. I don't think we're different than federal agencies. So one command is paying for the application. The installation is paying for the power and the building. Somebody else is paying for the bandwidth. So it's really hard in government to compare your current cost of doing business with moving it to either DISA or a commercial provider. Right? Because it's hard to get to that fully burdened cost. And nobody's paying that fully burdened cost except the big Army. So cost transparency is key here. And the last one that was mentioned is we got to look at policies and legislation. Because you want to get to the point where a vendor can sell you an application in the cloud, right? Once you separate data from applications. Right now, how do you do that? Do you do an RFP for an application?
Yeah.
Right? There's not a really easy policy or legislation in the FAR for how I buy an application from a vendor.
Yeah.
You don't want to do an RFP for every app.
Yeah.
Right? So I really think the 3 things are this governance, this cost transparency, and the policy and legislation.
Yeah, very